Those sparks fall down into the pan, we hope. That ignites the gunpowder you put in the pan, we hope. That ignition goes through a small hole on the side of the barrel, we hope. And that sets off the main charge. Thank you. There is a lot of hoping when firing one of these things. The British soldier, the American soldier, the French soldier, the Prussian soldier. Every soldier understands the weapon in their hands has a misfire rate of 30%. So for every 10 times you pull the trigger, you can count on it to go bang about 7 times. It sounds ridiculous, but I'll do my best to make sure this operates properly today. Now there are some prerequisites, things you needed to have before you were allowed to join the Army. Prior to 1811, you had to be 5 foot 6 inches tall, 16 years of age, and you had to be a male. Actually, the male portion of that was not always adhered to. We know of at least 2 females who disguised themselves and snuck into Wellington's army and fought bravely against the Canadian forces. Well, until they got injured, the doctor discovered a few things were missing. The rascal leave the height requirement. You understand why they had a height requirement given the size of the weapon. Now, sadly, about 100 years ago, people started to make this phrase rather popular.
Oh, that's right. Everybody was so small back then.
Well, yes, I can assure you, people were smaller 200 years ago.
Because McDonald's did not exist.
But no, they weren't that much shorter. The average height of the human animal has changed by that much in 200 years. You need to go back about 800 years before you start to see a sizable difference between yourself and your ancestors. To give you an example, the Potsdam Giants, raised by Wilhelm I in 1640. The minimum height to get into that regiment was 6 foot 2. Now, he didn't find 10 guys or 5 guys or 100 guys. He found 3,500 men, all over 6 foot 2, the tallest of which was 7 foot 2. Now, this is in 1640. Today, 3,500 men, all over 6 foot 2 in one spot, we call that the National Basketball Association. But 200 years ago, it was the largest collection of tall people in Europe alone. You also needed to have at least 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 fingers, and a thumb. The Army is even going to check your face to be sure that you have at least 2 teeth. Now, the teeth they would like to see on the right-hand side of the face. But no matter where these teeth are, they have to touch. If you want to be able to fire the weapon, you first need to be able to open the cartridge. That's one of these things here. Simply put, this is a paper tube. It contains 110 to 120 grains of black powder. Now, it's a blue piece of paper because it's a blank round. If it was a white piece of paper, it'd be a live round. And you would see the projectile, 68 caliber, soft lead musket ball attached down here at the bottom. 68 caliber, 0.68 of an inch. To give you something to compare that with, movies and television talk about a 22. That's 0.22 of an inch, or 1/3 this size. Our police officers walk around with a 9mm on their hip. This is 1.42 centimeters. It's a massive projectile. Of course, we've chosen not to fire live ammunition. We find it cuts down a repeat visitation. But the switch at the top is where the teeth come in handy. During the loading procedure, you're holding the weapon in the left hand. You don't have time to untwist it. And I can assure you, if you're missing the teeth, it's a lousy afternoon trying to gum your way through the paper. You're going to be able to bite open the top of the cartridge, pour some of the powder in the pan, close the frisson to hold the gunpowder tight, cast about. Now the rest of the powder, the paper, and the ball on top goes down the barrel. Then, take the rammer out, seat the cartridge at the bottom, put the rammer back, and you're ready to fire. One shot. Well, I can see how impressed you are. So hands up who thinks this weapon just plain stinks. I'm with you. This is the very last thing you'd want to have on a battlefield today. 200 years ago, this is the machine gun of the day. This is capable of firing between 3 and 6 times a minute.
Yeah.
All right, come on. It doesn't sound that fast, so I'll give you something to compare it to. A rifle. Now, for those who don't know, a rifle's an entirely different animal from what I'm showing you here. You can't call this a rifle. That's like calling a motorcycle a bicycle. Ever notice how a motorcycle has a motor and a bicycle doesn't? Well, rifles have rifling, and muskets, for the most part, do not. So what is rifling? Well, it's a series of lands and grooves. Imagine a spiral staircase starting at the top of the barrel. It winds its way down to the bottom. That's going to cause the ball to come out with a spin, which, by the way, everything that's coming out of a small arm in this period is called a ball, which is why it's the study of ballistics, not bulletistics. Anything coming out of an artillery piece, like the 6-pounder beside you, is a shot, which is why the Olympic sport is not ball put. Anyway, so when the ball is spinning, it's straight and true to its target. So highly accurate, you can hit somebody dead between the eyes at 300 yards away. Germans, they perfected this. Germans were using rifling as far back as 1650. So nearly 200 years prior to this war, they already have highly accurate weapons that can get you long distance. So why then does every army go with this? Speed. You see, before you get that ball to come out with a spin that makes it highly accurate, you first have to force it in with a spin that makes it highly accurate. And that's where the rifleman runs into a problem. Because whenever you load and fire a black powder weapon, whether it has rifling on the inside, or if you spoon for it like this, you are going to leave behind a substance called black powder fouling. Now, black powder, sulfur, saltpeter, and charcoal, when it burns, does not burn efficiently. So it leaves behind a thick, heavy black residue, and that builds up all over. Oh, here, I'll show you. This weapon's been fired 3 times since the last time I did this demonstration. This finger, believe it or not, is fairly clean. It's cleaner. Okay. And that's the black powder fouling that builds up after just 3 shots. And no, I'm not going to put my finger back in my face. But when loading and firing a rifle, this is what gets in the way. Right now it's greasy, because I wet it. Give it about 10 seconds, it'll cake and harden and turn into a granular substance, very similar to gravel. And having gravel on the inside of your barrel, as you might imagine, does not help you in the loading procedure. In fact, it slows you down tremendously quickly. The first shot out of a clean rifle is going to take 30 seconds to go through the process of loading, taking aim, shooting somebody 300 yards away. Congratulations, hope you get a trophy. Now, load and fire the second shot. This will slow them down to about 35 seconds. May not sound like it's that much longer, but people are shooting at you. Every second counts. Third shot, fourth shot, fifth shot, sixth shot, seventh shot. The time you fired your highly accurate rifle 10 times, it's now going to take you 2 minutes to load and fire the 11th shot. Now, you can still claim to have the advantage because you could shoot me at 300 yards. Good for you. Because, well, I can run 300 yards in less than 2 minutes and poke you in the eye with my dirty finger. So, you don't need something that's that highly accurate. For the same reason, battlefields today are not filled with snipers. No, soldiers are issued semi to fully automatic weapons, machine guns. The idea is you point them at the bad guys, pull the trigger, and hundreds of rounds are released in the direction of the bad guys. The bigger the spread pattern, the better. Same principle applies to this. This loads tremendously fast for its time period, but it's not known for accuracy. And I'll give you an idea of accuracy. At 75 yards, I've hit a man-sized target 9 out of 10 times. Now, I was aiming for center of mass with every shot, but one shot hit him up here, one shot down there, one shot in the face, and frankly, you hit anything with a 68 caliber ball, it matters not where you've hit it. You've done your job. And we are currently about 75 yards away from the palisade wall that finishes off this fort. At 30 meters, I was able to hit a target the size of my hat consistently. 30 meters is much shorter, from that end of the benches to that end of the benches. Now, most battles don't begin at 30 meters or 75 yards, so I use the front gate as an example. That front gate is 240 yards behind you. Anyone standing at that distance would be entirely safe. I could stand back here, fire all day long, but the only injury I would cause is perhaps a hernia from laughing at me. Because what made the weapon quick to load had made the weapon inaccurate. Armies recognized that this was beyond their control. And if they couldn't control this, they controlled what they could. The size of the ball, the size of the barrel it was fired out of. So this massive 68 caliber ball is being loaded and fired out of a 75 caliber barrel. The barrel is bigger than the ball. And that gives you room for the fouling to grow. The French did the same thing, firing a smaller ball out of a bigger barrel. The Americans took the French weapon Charleville, stamped it with Springfield, and adopted it as their own. So every army is using the bigger barrel, smaller ball combination, which leaves room for the fouling to grow. So now you can load and fire, 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 60 times. One box full for the British, before the fouling slows you down to less than 4 shots a minute. Now sadly, that's exactly why these weapons were so inaccurate. The ball was made smaller, so it went in quickly, but then it bounced on the way out. So it may start down here, bounce once there, perhaps again up here, and drift off in this direction, that direction, up or down. So even if it traveled to 240 yards to get to the front gate, I'm going to miss my target by 18 feet in any direction. So how do you make these things effective? Well, if all of you had a musket, we all stand, we all turn, we all fire at the same time, we create a wall of lead flying down the field. Somebody, you don't care who, but somebody's going to hit something. And that's the idea behind linear tactics. That's why every army lined their men up in long lines. Because a single weapon all by itself had proven to be absolutely stupid. With a whole bunch of weapons all packed together, that is effective fire. So I'm going to fire twice. The first round of the load and fire will be a ceremonial loading and firing, where I talk you through the 13 steps that it takes to load and fire the musket. The second round will be a rapid fire, so to speak, where I try and get this thing to go off as quickly as possible. I sincerely hope I don't have to go into details about misfires, but I'll make you a deal. As long as you promise to stay on this side of that pathway, I promise to stay on that side. Now I'm going to use the 1804 platoon loading exercise, step-by-step procedure that was used to teach the soldiers how to load and fire the musket. You'll see all the steps the first time. When I go through it the second time, I go faster. You may not see the steps, but they are still there. If you wish to time me, I'd ask you to time from the bang to the bang. And if everything works out okay, you should time out between 10 and 16 seconds. With blank, cartridge, prime, and load. You move the musket to the right-hand side of the body, open the prisoner to expose the pan. The next order is handle, cartridge. Reach back, grab onto a cartridge, and bite off the top. Prime, or some of the gunpowder in the pan. Close the prison to hold the gunpowder tight, pass it about. Crisp the powder, the paper, and the ball. There was one, but now put down the barrel. Take the rammer out and seat the cartridge at the bottom. Put the rammer back. In fact, I can't stress how important it is to put the ramrod back. Hey, don't get me wrong. Fire this. It's an excellent projectile. But it's an awkward projectile. And the awkward part is going across the field and asking for it back again. They tell you in the manual of arms, Captain, make sure you have put it back. If you leave it in the barrel, down to shish kebab on the other side. Okay, ready? Bang! Okay, one more time. And as many different reasons why
That was a misfire. Guys, quiet please.
Hold it for a few seconds in case it goes off.
Sit on your rear end.
Oh my gosh! That's
Hey, he's doing it again, guys.
It's a blank.
Oh my god. Could you? Fails and gets
It is fully conceivable that I could get dressed in the best camouflage known to modern man today. I could paint my face, I could stick leaves and trees and rocks and things like that in my hat. I could actually hide in this field and look like a bush for days. But let me ask you, how many times would I be able to fire my weapon before somebody said, "Oh, that bush just fired"? You can't hide. It's impossible to hide. A single shot, the cloud of smoke says. The bright red suit was done for a few reasons, and one of them is self-preservation. I'll explain. Most people are surprised by the amount of smoke produced by one weapon. However, one weapon is not a whole battle maker. Given the way the wind is blowing today, if you put 100 men in the field over there and they fire, the smoke will move across us, and for a period, we will lose each other in that smoke. On Tuesday, the 27th of May, 1816, 6,000 American soldiers came to take this fort. Imagine 500 giving fire. You create what became popularly called the fog of war. Now it gets the smoke, you can't tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys. And frankly, that's kind of important. Friendly fire is not a new concept. You don't want to be shooting at your own guys. So yes, the British are famous for standing there in the bright red suits with, as we call them, the shoot me here cross belts and tall black hats. While the Americans have joined us on the other side of the battlefield, all dressed up in bright blue suits with the shoot me here cross belts and tall black hats. The Hessians, the Prussians, the Spaniards, the French, the Swiss, the Dutch, the Portuguese, every modern army wears bright colors if they can afford it. They are wearing the cross belts because it holds on to your stuff. Later on in warfare, it's often referred to as webbing. Get all your ammunition attached on the one side, your bayonets on the other. The choice for the tall black hat had been made because it was the most fashionable thing to wear. But they're standing in those long lines, blazing away at each other, because everybody's using the height of technology, the musket. So my weapon is now safe. If you'd like to come forward and have a closer look at it, I am available for birthdays and bar mitzvahs. If you do have any questions, I can stick around, but thank you very much for